Stranger Things isn't just a show, it's a cultural detonation. Egos clashed, props melted, and one of the most iconic scenes was inspired by an actual nightmare. These are 20 weird facts about Stranger Things. And the bonus? Let's just say, it made the Duffer Brothers lose sleep. Buckle up. This one goes deep into the upside down. Fact 1. 11 was almost a completely different character. Before Millie Bobby Brown was cast, 11 wasn't 11. She was written as much older, a 30-something emotionally stunted woman with telekinetic powers. The Duffers were aiming for something gritty and tragic, but Netflix pushed back. They said, "You've got a story about missing kids? Why not make her one too?" So the Duffers rewrote the entire role for a child actor. Millie auditioned with a monologue from Breaking Bad. She shaved her head. She said almost nothing. And somehow, she said everything. The rest is nosebleeds and neon-lit history. Fact 2. The Demogorgon was originally a guy in a suit. You might assume the terrifying monster in Season 1 was CGI. But the Demogorgon? That was a real actor in a latex suit. Stunt performer Mark Steger spent hours a day squeezed into the creature's costume, which was covered in animatronic pedals, dripping slime, and built-in fans to keep him from passing out. The costume was so bulky, he had to be wheeled between takes. And because he couldn't sit down, he ate lunch lying on his stomach. The mouth pedals, controlled by puppeteers off-screen. The growls, added in post. Nightmare fuel, made by hand. Fact 3. Steve Harrington was supposed to die. In the original scripts, Steve wasn't redemption material. He was cannon fodder. The Duffers planned to kill him off in Season 1 after being the classic high school jerk. But then, Joe Keery walked on set. He brought charm. He brought awkward vulnerability. He brought a wooden bat with nails in it. So instead of dying, he babysat. Steve's entire redemption arc, becoming the unlikeliest big brother in Hawkins, was written on the fly because of how good Keery was with the rest of the cast. Sometimes the nicest guy in the show starts as the planned corpse. Fact 4. Millie Bobby Brown couldn't stop laughing during serious scenes. 11 doesn't smile a lot, but Millie Bobby Brown, total goofball. During scenes where she was supposed to be staring down monsters or floating in sensory deprivation tanks, she kept cracking up. David Hopper, later said Millie's giggles were so contagious that crew members had to leave the set to avoid ruining takes. One scene took 12 takes to finish because she kept corpsing at Gaten Matarazzo's ad-libs. You'd never know it watching the final cut. But behind the telekinesis was a kid who just wanted to laugh. Fact 5. The Upside Down has its own language. Literally. The Upside Down isn't just a set, it's a constructed world, and that includes sound. The show's sound team created a whole layer of upside-down ambiance using slowed-down radio static, reversed animal calls, and coded whispers in a made-up language. Some of those whispers? They're actually backwards recordings of the actors' dialogue. If you reverse certain scenes from the Upside Down, you can hear fragments of conversations from earlier in the show, like the world is echoing through itself. It's subtle, creepy, genius. Fact 6. The Christmas lights scene was a last-minute rewrite, the moment Joyce Byers strings up Christmas lights to talk to Will. Iconic, emotional, also completely improvised. Originally, the writers had Joyce communicating with Will through scrambled radio transmissions. But during rehearsals, Winona Ryder suggested something more visual, more desperate. The Duffers agreed. They sent a PA to grab every string of lights they could find. A crew member grabbed spray paint. An art assistant sketched out the alphabet on the wall in 5 minutes. They shot it the next day, and TV history was made, using $30 worth of holiday lights and a mom on the verge of a breakdown. Fact 7. Gaten Matarazzo's real condition was written into the script. Dustin's toothless grin? That's not just a character quirk. Gaten Matarazzo has a rare genetic disorder called cleidocranial dysplasia, which affects the development of bones and teeth. He was born without collarbones and with delayed growth of adult teeth. Instead of hiding it, the Duffers leaned in. They wrote his condition into the show, giving Dustin real-world depth and authenticity. Fans with the same condition reached out. Gaten became an advocate, raising awareness and funding for people with CCD. One kid's real-life difference became one of the show's proudest truths. Fact 8. The Hawkins lab set was built on a real government compound. The creepy halls of Hawkins National Laboratory weren't just Hollywood imagination. They were filmed inside a decommissioned government building in Atlanta. The building had previously housed CDC experiments, real ones. The crew found leftover hazardous waste signs, blackout rooms, and broken down observation windows. Production barely had to decorate. They just lit it differently. Some crew members reported strange cold spots. Others refused to stay alone in the building overnight. Turns out you don't always need a Demogorgon to get creeped out. Sometimes bureaucracy is scary enough. Fact 9. Eleven's blood nose is made of syrup. Every time Eleven uses her powers, her nose bleeds. But don't worry, it's not painful. It's a special blend of maple syrup and food coloring. Millie Bobby Brown would dab a little into her nostril before each take. Then, on cue, she'd sniff slightly, drawing the fake blood down just as the camera rolled. Problem is, maple syrup is sticky, and hot lights on set make it worse. Millie said by the end of the day, she was basically a pancake. Small price to pay for telekinesis. Fact 10. Dungeons & Dragons help structure the entire plot. The monsters, the world building, even the season arcs, all based on Dungeons & Dragons. The Mind Flayer, the Demogorgon, Vecna. Each major villain is named after a D&D creature, but more importantly, the show's structure mimics a campaign. Every season opens with character reintroduction, then moves into a series of escalating encounters, followed by a final boss showdown. The Duffers grew up playing D&D, so when they wrote Stranger Things, they didn't just write TV. They wrote sessions with players, monsters, maps, and dice rolls disguised as plot twists. And you're just sitting in on the game. Fact 11. The bike chase in Season 1 was an E.T. tribute. If the bike chase in Episode 1 felt familiar, that's because it was designed to be. The Duffers intentionally choreographed the Hawkins kids outrunning the feds as a direct homage to E.T. Same style of bikes, same angles, same sense of wonder meets paranoia. They even used a Spielberg-style lighting rig to give the whole sequence that late 80s golden glow. They didn't copy the scene, they resurrected it, because Stranger Things doesn't just reference the 80s, it remembers them. Fact 12. David Harbour hid a character backstory in his jacket. Sheriff Hopper's story is heartbreaking. Dead daughter, lost marriage, PTSD, pills. But here's what you didn't know. David Harbour wrote a full secret backstory for Hopper, printed it on paper, and kept it in his jacket pocket for the entire first season. Every time he reached inside for cigarettes or keys, that backstory was there, a reminder of who Hopper was before Hawkins fell apart. He never showed the paper to anyone, not the crew, not the writers, it was just for him. A grieving man carrying memories he couldn't speak, method acting, in a breast pocket. Fact 13. Sadie Sink did all her own skateboarding stunts. When Max rolls into Season 2 with her skateboard and sharp tongue, she does it with style. That's not a double. That's Sadie Sink. She trained for weeks with a professional skate coach to get her posture, balance, and timing just right. She learned how to fall, how to cruise, how to not look like an actor pretending to skate. The result? Effortless cool. Even though, behind the scenes, she wiped out more than once. But Max wouldn't complain. She'd get back up and kick push harder. Fact 14. The cast had a no phones pact during filming. In an age of selfies and behind-the-scenes leaks, the young Stranger Things cast made a bold decision. They created a no phones on set rule. No TikToks, no Snapchats, no I'm filming right now posts. They wanted to stay in the moment and protect the mystery of the Upside Down. It wasn't enforced by Netflix. It was their idea. Millie, Finn, Caleb, Gaten, and Noah all agreed. You can't fight Demogorgons if you're checking Instagram. Fact 15. Vecna took 8 hours to apply every day. Season 4's villain isn't CGI. Vecna, played by Jamie Campbell Bower, is a living, breathing, slimy horror. And he's practical effects. It took 8 hours each morning to transform Bower into Vecna. The process involved 25 plus individual prosthetic pieces, airbrushed skin textures, latex tentacles glued on limb by limb. Once in costume, Bower stayed in character all day. He didn't speak to the cast out of costume, didn't hang out, didn't joke around. He was just Vecna. Sadie Sink said she refused to look him in the eyes between takes, because even without the camera rolling, he was terrifying. Fact 16. The snow in Hawkins is actually potato starch. Those wintry shots of Hawkins in December? The snow? It's not snow, it's potato starch. The production team needed something that would look good on camera, not melt under hot lights, and be safe for actors to breathe. Enter dried potato flakes, shredded paper, and a whole lot of fans. It falls like snow. It crunches like snow. But between takes, the kids were literally throwing mashed potatoes at each other. Stay classy, Hawkins. Fact 17. Season 4's Running Up That Hill scene was built in reverse. Max's mind-bending escape from Vecna, set to Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill, is one of the most iconic scenes in the series. But what you didn't see? The entire sequence was filmed backward. To get the floating effect just right, Sadie Sink had to walk, fall, and move in reverse while music played backward in her earpiece. Then, in post-production, they reversed the footage. So every movement, every wind ripple, every hair strand, perfectly surreal. Sadie called it the hardest thing I've ever done, but also the coolest. Fact 18. The Duffers used fake names for scripts and emails. To avoid spoilers, the Duffer Brothers went full CIA during Season 4. Scripts were labeled under fake project names like Montauk and Blue Harvest. Cast emails were sent from alias accounts. Millie Bobby Brown was Charlie Echo, and Finn Wolfhard was Delta Moon. The goal? Prevent leaks, hacks, and nosy journalists. It worked. Mostly. One local newspaper caught a glimpse of a Montauk shoot and printed a blurry photo of what they thought was a horror movie. They weren't wrong, just a few decades late. Fact 19. Caleb McLaughlin improvised one of Lucas's most emotional lines. In Season 4, when Lucas cries out to Max in the final episode, "I'm not ready," you feel it. That line? Not in the script. Caleb McLaughlin improvised it on the spot after a long, emotional take. The director yelled, "Cut!" The writers stared in silence, and then someone whispered, "Keep it." The scene stayed exactly as he said it. Raw, unfiltered. The sound of a teenage boy watching his world break apart. Because sometimes the most powerful line is the one no one expected. Fact 20. Season 5 might end exactly where Season 1 began. The Duffers have hinted, more than once, that the final season of Stranger Things will loop back to the very beginning. Not just thematically, literally. Early concept art for Season 5 features the woods where Will vanished, a very familiar Dungeons & Dragons table, a bicycle, under a blood-red sky. The theory? The end is the beginning, and the upside down isn't just another world. It's a memory trap, playing the worst moments of Hawkins on repeat. It's poetic, it's terrifying, and if it's true, you might want to rewatch Season 1 carefully. Bonus fact, the cast made a pact to get matching tattoos. As filming wrapped on Season 4, the core cast sat around a table and made a promise. If they survive Season 5, if they make it to the very last shot, the very last scene, the very last scream, they're getting matching tattoos. The design? Top secret. But rumors say it involves the number 11, a cracked walkie-talkie, and a slice of Eggo waffle dripping with syrup. Winona Ryder said she'd join in too. Even David Harbour, because after all this time, Hawkins isn't just a place, it's a bond. Ink-worthy. Welcome to the end of Stranger Things. Stranger Things was never just a sci-fi show. It was a feeling, a flashlight under the covers, a scream in the woods, a mixtape made of monsters, friendship, and synthesizers. It took D&D nerds and made them heroes. It took trauma and gave it teeth. It gave us a girl who barely spoke and made her a god. From Christmas lights to shadow monsters, from nosebleeds to mixtapes, the show wrapped horror in heart and told us that even in the dark, you're never really alone. So if you made it this far through the upside down, smash that like, hit subscribe, and drop your favorite Hawkins moment in the comments. Because this isn't just nostalgia, it's legend. And the final campaign, it's still to come.